Good morning, everyone. Pastor Brad from New Covenant United Church of Christ in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And this is this week's edition of Children's Story Time. Again, this week, I know, I'm probably driving you crazy. But again, this week, we're going off lectionary. We're doing Blessing of the Garden Sunday or Rogation Sunday. Always held around the time of Ascension. This idea that Ascension Day marks the start of the planting season for the summer growing season and the fall harvest. Oftentimes, Ascension Day, which is coming up next Thursday, is associated with planting. We're past the time of a frost, and it's time to get the seeds and the plants in the ground. And so it's we're doing Blessing of the Garden Sunday this week at New Covenant, and so that's the feature for our lesson this morning. We're going to take a look at the epistle lesson that I'm going to use, 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 4 to 9, and this will be for Sunday, May 17th. And so we're going to play the name game this week. The name game, we're going to try to name as many different kinds of chocolate that we can name. So let's start. There's chocolate bars, there's chocolate candy bars, right? There's chocolate bars. There's chocolate pudding, right? There's chocolate ice cream. There's chocolate. What else? What else can you think of that's chocolate? There are chocolate brownies. All right, we're gonna try and name as many chocolate items that we possibly can. That's our game this week. And so I challenge you, put the video on pause, and I challenge you, see how many different kinds of chocolate items you can name. We got 4 right away. Can you get 6? Can you get 12? Can you get 24? See how many, challenge yourself to see how many chocolate items you can come up with. Put the video on pause, and then when you think you've got as many as you can, restart the video and we'll talk about the reasons why we played the chocolate name game. So pause the video and see how many different types of chocolate items you can name. Thanks so much for joining me. So what did you get? Did you get 6? Did you get 12? Did you get 24? How many different chocolate items did you get? In our lesson this week from 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 4 to 9, the Apostle Paul uses a gardening image for discipleship. Gardening's a lot of work. You got to prepare the soil. You got to plant the seed. You got to water. You got to fertilize. You got to pull the weeds. Gardening's a lot of work. Likewise, Paul says, encouraging good discipleship is a lot of work as well. You got to plant the seeds in people. You got to nurture them. You got to tend to them. There's got to be some teaching and some encouragement. You gotta feed disciples. You gotta give them nourishment and encouragement. You gotta pull the weeds if there's some laziness or if a disciple is going in the wrong direction. You gotta pull the weeds and bring them back. Paul compares discipleship to a garden image, and that creating disciples is a lot of work, just like tending to a garden. He adds that making disciples is also a community effort, very much like a community garden. It's not a competition, but rather we work together so that it will enable the best possible harvest. Just as there are many different kinds of chocolate, there are many different kinds of gifts of discipleship. Some of us are teachers. Some plan and organize. Some are good at cooking. Some are good at counting. Some are good at cleaning. We all have spiritual gifts that God gives us to use in our discipleship. But just as there are many different kinds of chocolate, there are many different kinds of discipleship gifts. Paul reminds us this morning that, like a community of garden, growing disciples for Jesus takes work, and it's not a competition, but rather we share the load to ensure a successful harvest. May it be so. Thanks be to God. Amen. Thanks so very much for joining me this morning. Appreciate it very, very much. Hope you'll join me each and every week for another edition of Children's Story Time. And I promise, with Pentecost coming next week, we'll be back on the lectionary schedule. Till next week, see you, everybody. Peace, blessings, love, and prayers. Bye-bye.